You don't already did?
Oh my gosh. Are we in? Hopefully people can see us.
Can we clean?
Oh, is it dirty? Can people see us?
Give a thumbs up. Now live. Here we go.
Oh, yay. People
Woo!
see us. I guess we had to go back in. It said we were waiting for ourselves, so we're a little confused. It's our first time doing it. So hopefully you guys can be a little patient with us. Yay.
Good.
I'm excited. We're seeing a bunch of people log in here. While people are logging in, we thought it might be fun to do a brief introduction. And I'll introduce Stephane, and he can introduce me. We thought that might be fun too. So I'll start. So this is Stephane. He's awesome. And he's a dual citizen, born and raised, though, in France, in Brittany, and got the sailing bug early by all of the crazy single-handed sailors from Brittany. So he's been sailing for a while, moved to the U.S., and started just jumping on racing boats. And he's been able to do, is it 2 Transpacks and 1 Pack Cup, or
the other way around?
Other way around. And you know, he was on a couple different boats. The last time, and the one that just blows my mind now is it was a Moore 24, so a 24-foot boat, double-handed. Yeah, without a whole lot of anything. They had a bucket for a toilet and freeze-dried food, and yeah, 24 feet isn't very big, but he loves surfing downwind on the waves, and he loves sweets. How would you describe me?
And both at the same time is even better.
Yeah.
Holly, so born and raised in the US. We met, fun fact, we met on Match.com.
Back when online dating was actually for online dating, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. So Holly discovered not the water, because she was doing water sports before we met, but she discovered the sport of sailing when we met. So I still had this 24-foot boat, which was the purpose of it was to do the pack up double-handed. So from San Francisco to Hawaii. Kept that boat in the San Francisco Bay, so we could use it with the kids. Another fun fact, we have 4 kids between the 2 of us. And then we go like weekend camping on this little boat. So that was really, really basic camping on this boat. And then after that, Holly decided that she likes sailing, but needs to learn properly, because when we go sailing, it's hard to do and teach at the same time. So Holly and I joined the same courses and took more. Holly got certificated for bareboat cruising, and also did the navigation coastal class, which she studied really hard for. And she wanted to get a taste of offshore sailing to really know if that's something she might like. So she joined 59 North on a passage from Key West all the way to Bermuda. I stayed home. I was monitoring from my work and the computer, and I was wondering, is she going to like it, love it, hate it? And so she came back, and she loved it. So we kept on building our project of going cruising later.
Yeah. So some people are saying it's buffering. Someone said kick the Starlink. So just wondering if it's still stuck or not.
We have a couple cruise ships nearby. And we know that.
Oh, it's okay now. Okay.
Yeah, we know that cruise ships can take like some of the bandwidth. So hopefully.
Oh no! Some people say still blank screen. Oh, someone says no, it's good now. I don't know. So maybe we continue and see what happens. Maybe the video is sputtering here. Yeah. So I think. That's kind of it. We started sailing on this whole journey in 2020, but before 2020, we had kind of a 5-year plan to make a life transition. So that's what we've been kind of doing. Occasional breakup, but it's minor. Keep going. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. If it's still bad,
Let me monitor Starlink.
oh, they said screen is good, normal now. Oh, okay, so so let's dive into some of your questions. We had some in the very beginning, so maybe we start there. Someone said, would the outremer 52 be easily single-handed? And I think that depends on your program and your experience. So, if your program is if you're sort of new to sailing, and you plan to take the time and do coastal sailing and get training and things like that, I think it's definitely something you can grow into. I think if both people want to learn how to sail and manage the boat, it's definitely doable. I think there are certain maneuvers that require two people. That's my opinion. Some people have said they are happy handing the boat, but I think it just depends on your experience and comfort level, and maybe how long your arms are.
No, I think in general, yes. I think what we find is the setup. Yeah, we see. Sorry, guys, just letting you know. Like Starlink says obstructed, but there is no obstruction, and it's
Yeah, but we're up. They can see us.
No, they can see us. Just letting you know, it says expect interruption every 14 minutes. So we'll see if things are not great. Just let us know, and maybe we'll move the Starlink a little bit. So I think to come back to the question, I think definitely like the area where you do the work, there's the lines can be brought back to the cockpit. So the way I kind of visualize it is, it's like, imagine if you're on a monohull and you have a kind of a small cockpit. In this case, you have a similar cockpit but bigger. It's great. You can lay out the lines quickly. You can really have space to move and work. Obviously, if you were to fly some downwind sails, big spinnaker, like with a sock, I mean, that will probably be a little bit more challenging. You will need to be able to control the sock with a winch forward from the back. That will need to be a setup that you do. But if you go single-handed, you might want to choose sails where you are like all on a furler. So that will definitely, I would say yes. Depends on your skill level and might require some adjustments to make it easier.
There was a follow-up question on that, but before, there's a lot of questions about the O'Kellys. Yes, we were there in Le Grand Mot when they were brought to the 55 Moonshot, because it was just two boats down from us. So we were there with them. They came to Outremer Week. We hung out. It was really cool because we had hung out already on the water and in Cannes, so it was really cool. We heard the news, but there were a lot of details to sort out, and I think Nick and Megan were kind of waiting for all of the necessary balls to drop, and I think they were appropriately skeptical because it definitely seemed too good to be true. So, we were kind of like waiting patiently along with you guys, and we saw the video last night, their patron video, because we're still patrons of theirs because we're fans. And we immediately contacted them and said, congratulations, it was great. So I think it's one of those things where it's not a done deal until it's a done deal. And I think given, the experience they went through, they were probably appropriately guarded about the information. But we could not be more excited because they're going to cross just a little bit after we start. They're going to cross, and it sounds like they're going to be in the Caribbean, and it also sounds like they might be in Miami too. So we'll get to hang out with them. So that'll be really fun. Lots of questions here. Let's see. We were next to them in Le Grand Mot.
Do you plan for more crew for crossing after repairs?
For crossing after repairs, after the crossing, or?
So I think the question will be, so for the next leg, we'll have a total of 4 people on board. Holly, myself, there will be Nikki Anderson, and people, you might be familiar with her if you watch some YouTube videos, and Segolene, our daughter.
Yeah.
So that'll be it. So yeah, this time we're basically finalizing kind of small details before the bigger crossing, buying more stuff, and organizing ourselves, writing procedures. And as soon as Nikki will come on board, she's going to send us also some information, make sure that we do what we can before. And when she gets on board, we'll probably do a little check.
Yeah, Nikki was great. She does the ladies program for outremer and does the training. So I had actually had a chance to sail with her a few times. She's an amazing skipper and an amazing instructor. So we're both really excited there.
Oh, interesting question. Would your boat be a good first boat to start cruising life? Yes, but those are performance cruising boats. And there are two ways to look at it. On one way, they can go fast, but you can also reduce the sail area, and they can still perform really well.
Yeah.
So it's that there is that to it. Number two things is outremer does really an awesome job to prep people with underwater classes and off the water. So that would be I would say an essential thing to make sure you get the proper training. Something that is often disregarded is, you put all the money and effort into the boat, and now you're like, okay, I'm ready to leave. But I think it's important to keep into your budget some money to hire professional skippers that especially know these boats, because it's going to fast forward your learning curve. And that's one of the reasons.
And that's the key. If you have all the time in the world and all the patience in the world, and you want to just kind of figure things out on your own, that's certainly one path. If you're like, okay, I have a 3-year plan or a 2-year plan, and you want to kind of accelerate your learning so that you're making sure you're making the most out of that time, I definitely, invest in the learning there.
Yeah. And again, don't wait to buy that boat to keep on sailing.
Yeah.
And I always recommend, and I have a little bias because I come from a racing background, but people might not know, but there are really like what we call beer can races, at least in the US, and I'm sure it's in every country, but that's how we name them. So Wednesday nights or Friday nights, the yacht clubs have some informal races. Just show up on the dock. People will be happy to take newbies, and then you might find a boat you like, and you start to become more and more experienced, seeing the spinnaker goes up, doing jibes and tacks, and just even watching is important. So while you wait for your boat, just get as much experience on the water, and I would say join some racing boats is a great. It's open to everybody, I would say.
Yep. A question on clarification. So on the O'Kelly's video, it looks like we were right next to each other. We're actually in the Canary Islands now, as many of you know. So there, I think we haven't spoken to them yet. We're supposed to speak to them later today. We think that they're going to go to Le Grand Mat, get some additional training, and then come to the Canaries and then cross. So they're actually behind us time-wise. But depending on when they decide to leave,
we wanted to race with them, but I think they chickened out, they decided to leave a little later.
Don't start rumors. Will you do the Glide World 2025 around the world? We are on a longer program than 3 years, and the Glide World starts later, so we will already be over. However, we would love to catch up with the group.
Or the group will eventually catch up with us.
The group will catch up with us at some point, and maybe if we're lucky, it's for the Pacific crossing. So that would be really fun. Yeah.
Technical question, but how does your solar and battery capacity work for you in real life? How frequently do you have to run an engine to charge batteries? So we have 800 watts of solar panels on the davits. We have 1200 watts on the coach roof, so a total of 2000. We have 2 big lithium batteries, total of 920 amp hours, 12,000 watts, 12 volt. So we're in the off season here. So the sun, it's a little cloudy and the sun is low. But what we've seen is as soon as the sun hits the solar panel, it charges very quickly. So that's good. As we were sailing from Gibraltar to the Canaries, based on your tack, your main and your forward sail could block the solar panels. So in this case, it's a little tricky because you don't get the charge, but we have a hydro generator. I would say the hydro generator, so it's a 1NC, a racing version. The way we drop in the water and it runs 24 hours a day, so that's good. And those boats maintain some good average speeds.
Its nickname is Edward, though, because it's very sharp. And we have to be careful, but we put it in and then it runs.
So what it does really well is at night, all the electronics, and we have a lot of electronics between CAI and radar, computer, big monitor, and so it maintains, we drop in energy, but it definitely keeps the drop much less than if we didn't have the hydro generator, so that's good. So the motor, I think on the way down to the Canaries, we had to run a little bit one day. I mean, we could go down further on the batteries and
we're
see
being conservative
based on the forecast. Here, cruising here, we haven't had to run the engine to even with cloudy days. And
we're more aware of it just because it's later in the season and the sun's kind of low and there's not as much daylight. So we're definitely, I think, aware. But that was the same on our other boat. And I think we have more solar here. So that's no different. The question was, what is the most surprising thing about Awen that you've discovered? Well, you can think about your answer. I'll kind of start. I think the thing that's surprising to me, and we knew this from just sailing on the 51s when we came, before the 52 even came out as a boat, was how confident it feels. And it's such a strange thing to say because I wasn't fully confident in our other boat. It just felt anxious, and we'd go to put the sails up and it felt like it was like, oh, do I have to? And it made noises that made me a little more nervous. And this boat just feels really confident. And that's such a weird answer because it's not a feature or it's not something you can technically measure. It's more, the boat just feels like, I got this, like, no problem, I'll take care of you. So to me, that continues to be true. And, if you talk to any sailor who's sailed a lot, way more than we have, they'll always say, at some point you just need to really trust your boat because you'll be in those situations where you just have to let it take care of you. So I think that's the thing. I just got goosebumps. That's the thing that makes me feel the best, is I feel like we're on a really great and very safe and very well-built platform. Did you say?
Yeah. Well, there is one video that we want to make one day, so it's about all the little details that Outremer does on all the boats, and we went in details about all the options. But as we got onto the boat, it was like, oh, this comes with the boat, and this comes with the boat. Oh, this is why they do it. It's very practical. So I would say there'll be an interesting video to do.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure.
But I would say it was more of a confirmation of what I would have expected from this type of boats. The way they sail, how stable. The last day coming to the Canaries, I mean, the waves were not perfect, but you could really catch some waves, do some surf at 18, 20 knots, hands-free. Like the boat is just gliding, falling down the waves, and then sliding down the waves, and super stable. So it's like the speed is not an issue.
The biggest benefit of a performance catamaran is upwind performance and light wind performance. That is true. Fundamentally, it comes down to range. So, we on our old boat, we just couldn't get as far before, we needed to drop the anchor than we wanted to before you turn the engines on. So at 3 p.m, you're like, okay, turn the engines on because we're not really going anywhere. Here we can, go in light wind, we can go in different conditions. And it definitely just creates more range to get farther places quicker. And
a lot of people talk about top speeds, and I think when you get a performance cruising catamaran like an Outremer, what's nice is the high average speeds that you can maintain. And so now twice we pushed the things a little bit on the trip from Corsica to mainland France, and also from crossing from Lanzarote to Gran Canaria, where we wanted to do the trip during daylight, and be able to be on the other side and anchor before nighttime. and twice we were like, wow, this is really awesome. Like you're maintaining some high average speeds, and which means you can cover 100 nautical mile during daylight. And we couldn't do that before. And now it gives like many opportunities when you need to go from point A to point B.
So someone, JR asks, are Awen's polars available, or will you make them available?
So I know, like, and I had the same feeling before. It's like you think like, oh, let me give the theoretical polars, and then but always remember polars from like the architects and the manufacturers, or like polars that are made, from a computer design, and for an empty boat. And so we're in a cruising boat, we have certain sails, we're not racing, and you have to take into consideration many different things. So what I've realized is I started with a set of polars, but pretty much it doesn't matter very much. And the more and more we sail different angle, different sails, we're basically capturing data. And this is the data you want to capture for your boat and your sailing style, and and all these parameters that you set. And that's when it becomes useful to, like, for example, start to do some routing across the Atlantic, and say, okay, I think during the day we can do 80%. Maybe at night we'll do 70%, and play with these numbers so you're hitting those waypoints. And so I kind of changed my mind a little bit about this. It would be nice to share, but in the future we can share some data. But we're very much in the building mode of capturing data and figuring out for ourselves what is going to be the polars adapted.
Well, we can put them up and then refresh them too.
It's complicated.
So,
sorry for a short answer, but it's a little complicated for that.
So I'm going to ask two questions with one answer. One question is, will you race with Zatara? And the second is, when does the Passage series start again? So we plan to leave sometime between December 12th and 15th, depending on the weather and what's going on.
More 15 and after.
15. So, sorry. Yeah. 15 and after. Sorry. So within like around that time. That's also around the time that Zatara is going to leave. They're here actually in the marina.
Mm-hmm.
We're out in the anchorage there in the marina. And are we going to race whenever there's more than one boat? It's a race. I don't know that they race necessarily, but I think
well, we might like we found them as we left Gibraltar.
Yeah.
So of course they sail the way they sail with their boat, and we did the same thing. And when we could see them on AIS, we just definitely it became a little more fun of the game. But it's just two different boats, and they're definitely not going to be racing. It's just any boat we can play with, but they're totally different angles, different way of sailing those boats.
Yeah,
not comparable.
He was a super nice guy. He helped us with our Starlink. It was really friendly and really fun to catch up with them in Lanzarote.
Mm-hmm.
Question about dagger boards and also about lifting holes. So let's take lifting holes first. Would it take a lot to lift the holes?
So I think if I answer the way Outremer would answer is, those boats, will it take a lot? I imagine you could do it, but probably will require some conditions and an empty boat and different things. But that's really not why those boats are being designed.
Right.
They are being designed to be safe, to be fast, but safe first. And
they're really big into safety.
Yes,
for sure.
So it's just not the philosophy. And so I guess that's the answer.
I mean, and they bought the ORC, the ORCs. So I don't know, maybe that will be kind of the lift to hull boat. I'm not sure.
When they say they, it's Grand Large Yachting.
Yeah.
The group that owns Outremer also owns Gunboat, and they are now owns the ORC, and so Marceau Composite. And they owns also some aluminum boats, Allure, Garcia, and they own also RM. And their purpose is really the offshore, like kind of long distance sailing, and not lifting hulls and racing. Gunboat will.
It says Cat Great Circle lifted a hull at 25 knots, mainsail full Genoa. I'm sure, I'm sure it can be done in the right circumstances with the right people on board. I don't know that we aspire to do it, I guess is the best way to answer it. So dagger boards.
That's funny. This is what I love, this social media part, because when we publish the video during the passage,
It's so much fun.
we want to capture those memories. We want to share with other people, but people write comments, and it's just every day we had like a couple comments that were just funny and entertaining, and it just brings like really
Yeah. So
entertainment.
Dan says, "Good answer for my girlfriend." LOL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Love that.
yeah, that's funny.
Rick asks, "How critical are the dagger boards for your sailing now with the 52?"
So obviously they are critical when you're going upwind. When they're going downwind, they're critical that you can raise them and you reduce drag. So that's important, because we had fixed keel before, and when they are permanently in the water, that creates drag. So I guess even though we lower them just when we go upwind, I think they are useful to be able to get out of the water. When you go upwind, definitely the dagger boards are very, very useful. It limits your drift sideways and it creates some lift. And so even though, we sail with other monohulls, we see them and we're not trying to optimize anything, but what we see with this type of boats is you're basically sailing almost as close to the wind as kind of a good sporty monohull. And so when you're going to have like some long distance upwind, you're going to save a lot of time. And very
and we use them for anchoring too, because this boat it's very light. So you're coming into an anchorage, you kind of need something down just to kind of keep you a little bit steady.
And I know also, don't want to enter a conversation about performance cruising catamarans, but now the word is being used very loosely. Performance catamarans, I think from my opinion, our opinion, I guess, is really like, if you're really looking at a true performance cruising catamaran, you need those dagger boards. You need those dagger boards, and the keels and this and that. It's just not going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
It adds a little bit. It adds a step before you do attack. You have to think about it, and of course, we forget. And the more we do it, the more we remember it. But I think now, we have some sets, like flush deck, line of the lifeline, all the way down. So you have like 4 or 5 positions that you play with. And it's not like a sail where you you could, but we're not doing it this way.
Yeah. Someone asks, do you think Sajak, hopefully I pronounced that okay, I'm not sure. Jacques, you think it's worth it to have a spare rudder and dagger board? So first of all, we have a lot of faith in Outremer, and we feel like if we had a problem with that, they would help us figure out how to get that done rapidly. May not be them directly, but they have, people around the world that they could call. So in addition to their network, not saying it would be their network because we don't know, but depending on where we are. So there's that. The second thing is Jean-Marc had all kinds of interesting stories as well. And I asked him about the rudder. Like, if you lost a rudder, say we lost a rudder in Gibraltar and had to turn around, go back and get it fixed. He said, well, actually that happened to me.
Well, that would be losing 2 rudders.
2 rudders. So apparently he was on a boat. He was attacked by orcas. They lost their rudders. He came back, got towed in, I guess. And then they kind of put together some rudders. And this is before the orca attacks were a thing. So sort of figured out how to get that done. As a temporary, at least.
I think also the answer to this is it's a catamaran, so you have 2 rudders and you have 2 dagger boards. So you already have a redundancy. So the answer will be no way. We will get a third one. Those parts are very big and very heavy.
Yeah.
So it would not be practical to store this on a boat to maybe use it So I think the question should be being a catamaran, you have redundancy that will allow you to continue to sail, get to shore, even if you were to lose a rudder or a dagger board. So that takes care of it, and you don't need additional parts for that.
Yeah. Azali says, are you happy with your 3DI Ocean and your sail choice? Yes, we are.
Yeah. No, I think it's the combination of the boat and the sails we have. It's just amazing. It surprises. We will sail in light air in La Grande Motte, and you feel like it's windy. The boat is tracking along with the code 65, or it's just like always the A2 when you're in light air and you just keep on moving, and it's just the combination of the two. We just couldn't be happier.
Yeah. And they're beautiful sails, the 3DI Ocean. And it was, when we were first kind of thinking about 3DI, it was just a glimmer in my eye, I guess. We sort of just thought, oh, it's too expensive. It's not for us. They're too fragile. And then we learned about the North Sails cruising version. And so once we kind of learned more about it, it was great.
Yeah. Somebody said, will you ever consider an aluminum sailboat from the what? From the
PI?
PI?
Well, we don't like cold places, so...
Yeah, at this point, no, that's not something that we're looking at. We like catamarans. We like fast catamarans. We don't know in the future. We're going to keep on learning, discovering our cruising lifestyle, and maybe we'll evolve, it will change. But right now, we're pretty set on closing the loop, taking our time with this boat, because we feel we have the right platform. We were happy to take a transition, take a period of time to reset. Once we validated that's the project we want to do, and we wanted to make sure we have a platform for that. So we feel like it answers all the needs that we have, and we'll see in the future.
Any plan to add anything else to your sail plan in the future? God, I hope not. We just added a symmetrical spinnaker.
Yes. So initially, because those boats, when you look at polars, like you really want to sail wide angles if you're going downwind, and to sail angles as opposed to go straight downwind. Having said that, so initially we did not order. So just for people know, so we have quite a bit of sails. So we have obviously the main stay sail. We have a Genoa. In sails, we have an code 65. We have what we call an A2, an asymmetrical, and that was our initial sail plan. And we were going to sail downwind angles and jibes and try to optimize the way we sail that way. We made the decision to add a symmetrical spinnaker. There are a couple of reasons for that. The investment in our sails, 3DI sails, is not insignificant, and we want to make sure we take care of our sails. And in certain wind conditions, it might be that the waves create that you're not really sailing, and you're kind of moving side to side, and everything is just making noise, and you're damaging your sails if you end up doing this for hours and hours. So that was one idea, is to drop the sail, put the symmetrical cheaper sail. Having said that, from all the comments from outremer owners that sail downwind, they're downwind pretty much 160, 180 with a symmetrical spinnaker, is those boats just want to go. So you can sail just with the symmetrical spinnaker, lower your sails, and make good VMG.
Yeah.
So that was like, in certain conditions, it might be or routing software might suggest that we use that.
And the other reason was because if someone were tired, or someone got sick, or you had to fix something and you just wanted to sort of let it be, that was another reason.
Yeah, exactly, to stabilize the boat. And again, we're not racing. We like to go fast, but if at times, it's better to just slow down and still making good headway.
It looks like Megan O'Kelly just joined. Hey.
I'm
really excited for you guys. So excited. Yeah. So let's see, what was another question? As a monohull sailor, your YouTube series makes me want an Outremer 45. You should definitely try one.
Yeah.
They're really awesome boats, and it's actually a 48, so it's not a 45. It's bigger than a 45. And they're quite spacious, and it's a great boat too.
Yeah. And I think what we learn is just go and think. I think nowadays, so obviously you either can go to La Grande Motte and go on a day sail, and it'll be amazing. Right away you will feel and notice the difference. I think more and more there are some outremer owners that put their boat in charter. So contact outremer, and you might, in different parts of the world, you might be able to charter an outremer, maybe with a hired skipper. I don't know. But that will really give you a feel for how those boats sail. And it's just pretty amazing. And so you have to make a point to try one. It doesn't matter if you try the 45 or 51 or 52, whatever. Just try one.
Yeah.
You'll get the philosophy.
You'll get the idea.
And then you can go from there.
Yeah. A couple questions. Did we find a long-term solution for the conflict issue with the cleat in the bow?
Yes. So I think we have a solution. Unfortunately, the cleat dimensions are not standard. So for shorter cleats, there is basically two plastic parts with a rubber band in between. So you open it up, you lower it, and it just kind of swallows the cleat. And this way, it protects anything, stubbing your toe or anything. So we need the exact same system. If somebody has a 3D printer and want to make some money for the outremer 52 owners, you can design this. In the meantime, we're going to go to some hardware store here to see if we can find some like kind of a hard foam that we can with a Dremel shape, and just to provide this protection.
So no long-term solution yet. I think we're trying to get one for the crossing.
And I think the important thing, I mean, it was a special case too, where the night was very wet. It was not raining, but everything was very wet, so the spinnaker gets heavy. And the spinnaker will kind of the wind will blow it a little bit, and it will die. And at that point, so now we know we have that protection. We know that it's best to just lower the spinnaker and then or change kind of angle.
Bob asked, does your routing software recommend the sails to use? Yes, it's one of the cool things about the Octopus software is wow, they're really close to the boat. They're doing little these little kids are out there doing the kite surfers. Anyway, so it does, it kind of, it shows you the polars, and it says you're kind of in this range and you're kind of tipping towards this one, which you really like. And also when it does the routing, it recommends which ones to do, which we like, because the night before we can get all the sails on the deck and be prepared and know kind of what the plan is for the sail.
Yeah, it's great for passage planning, even short passages a day sail. And the other thing is great is the temptation of like the human mind tells you like, oh, I want to go and like point B is over there, and I want to point my boat to point B. And the software kind of reminds you, no, you have to sail like VMGs, and then keep going fast this way, do a jibe, and then you'll end up faster. Those guys are like super close. You see the sails, and to the point where it makes me uncomfortable.
Okay, so he's gonna go check that out. Let me see if I can answer some more questions. Yeah, Outremer joined. Hey guys. Yeah, I think you can see the rubber blocks made for the cleats. We just haven't found the right size, so maybe we'll follow up with you on that one. Before you decided to splurge on, this is Mark asked, before you decided to splurge on the 3DI, what other sailcloth were you going to get? We were in the initial stages of purchasing the sails originally. What was it called? No, it's blinking now.
Okay,
turn the light off. That came with the the original sails we were going to get from Incidents. I think came with the original package, but then we went and we visited the North Sails loft. And it blew our minds. If you haven't checked that out, we have a video that we did a North Sails tour, and it actually explains the whole process, which was really, really fabulous. So that was great. We got a question. So can you beach the boat? I don't know.
I think
you can, but
wait. You can beach the bow. I remember a video, I think, of La Vagabonde doing this, maybe. But I think in a true term where the tide goes away and you beach it, in theory, if I have to look, but I think the rudder and we have, I would say probably not designed for this. I would say no right now as an answer.
So we can hear what Outremer's answer is.
Yeah.
JR asks, the polar for straight downwind is notably worse VMG than on a broad reach in monohulls. With cats, it seems about the same. How is it with Awen?
Yeah, so we haven't. So we got the symmetrical spinnaker, so an S4 from North Sails. We haven't used it yet, so we'll probably do this as part of the Atlantic crossing. The only thing that we go by is the previous owners. We've been using those sails, and I'm pretty amazed about the good VMG they're doing, even straight downwind with those boats.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see, what other questions do we have? Let me see. Any other questions that we missed up here? Hey, Greg from Snowy Mountain Hood. It's nice here. It's not super, damp, which is also really nice because you wake up and you don't have to deal with all of the wet deck and everything in the morning. So it's nice here, and we suspect it's probably snowing in Tahoe, which is where our house is.
It's cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
One question we missed. So when is the Passage series?
No, I answered that.
Oh, sorry.
Mid-December. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Outremer says you could beach in emergency situations, but odds are high to damage the rudders and engine shafts. Yeah, that's what we thought. Good answer.
Thank you, Outremer.
Yeah, cool. What are some of the things you learned from your skipper about optimizing the performance of your boat? I think the first part of the of leg one for us having Jean-Marc on was just. I benefited a lot more, I think, than Stephane did early on because of his experience. And I could ask a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions for him around risk management, safety. We talked about fuel. We talked about, different conditions. And so I think it was reinforcing in a lot of ways because of the conditions in the Med and because how we found ourselves in the situation in the first part of the leg getting to Gibraltar with the waves and the condition of the waves. We didn't get to sort of do a lot of different maneuvers. So I think the conditions didn't so much allow for that. Then when we did the Gibraltar kind of part of it, we were just trying to sort of get through that part of it. I think when we kind of rounded and came to Tangier and we were doing downwind sailing, we had the A2 up the whole time. And so in that part of leg one, I think it sort of reinforced some things we already knew. And it also, he gave a lot of tips and tricks on single-handed sailing, which I really liked and appreciated, like how do you do a reef yourself? And he has a special way he likes the lines and the halyards, and he has a lot of examples and stories that he shared with us, which all of those things are really, really useful there.
Yeah. So, and it's a little tricky, for passages, because obviously you want to push your boat to a certain point, but you're also aware that, you have to manage the crew, you have to manage the boat, you have to manage, traffic at night if you're close to the coastline, fishing. So based on all these, you're making decisions which tack to take. But definitely got a good taste of doing light air sailing with the A2, doing kind of stronger air sailing with the A2 as well. And I think we keep just pushing the boats, especially during day sails and capturing polars, and discover kind of what the boat can do. And it's also part of a shakedown to continue to push the boat, because we want to push it and check the systems and make sure that everything is functional before we do a bigger crossing like the Atlantic.
Okay, there's a couple questions I'm going to answer real quick, and then there's a couple other really good questions we can get into. Yes, we are going to be at the Miami Boat Show. Yes, it's a sure thing, unless there's some crazy thing that happens that nobody thought of, but we'll be there. When is Nikki getting there? I think it's the 14th or 15th.
No, 15th.
Okay. The next question, I missed this one, Tom, and I was looking for it up earlier. Were there any options you missed or that you bought that you didn't use that you regret getting? Or maybe that's can you think of anything?
So we were talking about it. Afterwards, we got the symmetrical spinnaker afterwards. So that's something we added and changed our minds. On
Anything
the
in the
options that
options?
we selected and missed, uh,
I can't think of any. I can't think of any off the top of my head. It's not like we didn't order, like we didn't get a dishwasher and like, oh, suddenly I miss it. No, I'm fine because he does the dishes anyway. So that works out.
yeah, no, I think I know. We'll get
Right.
back to
Yeah,
you
if we
on the
did.
other side. Ask the question again once we're in
Yeah.
Miami.
How did you guys get into this lifestyle? Lori asked that question. Lori, thank you for asking the question. I'm going to try to make a super long story short. If you want the full detail, we have a podcast called Covert Castaway, and it starts from the beginning and it talks about why, and it also talks about the full transition, not just the logistics and tactics of making the change, but kind of it's a process. It's like a transition, mentally and emotionally, and like how to tell your family and all those things. So there's a lot in there, but long story short, we talked about wanting to sail and cruise, and it was just sort of an idea, and it was out in the future sometime. And then something happened to one of our kids that was kind of shocked us and gave us new perspective on how just in an instant your life could completely change, and there may not be a future. Like, you don't know when that's going to be. And so we sort of made the decision that if it was something we really wanted to do and if it was important to us, we had to do it and not put it off out into nowhere. So if you want to hear more about all that story, you can go ahead and check out Covert Castaway. I think we talk about that in a couple episodes.
Question about the battens. We do have the
they're called custom battens. They're not
yeah.
called carbon battens, but they're carbon.
Yeah, and there's probably a mix.
Yeah.
But yeah, people think carbon, oh, they might break and stuff. We haven't had any issues. We've done jibes in 30 knots of wind in Cannes, and as long as it's not a user error, as long as you do your things properly, sequentially, I think that's not a concern. We have a repair kit, that we can, if we were to break a carbon batten, that we could take it down, and the two pieces, you will cut them, and then you put kind of in between. I don't know how to describe it in English. So we have a repair kit that we have on board, if that were necessary. We don't really have. I mean, we had standard batten on the previous boat, but that wasn't a performance boat. What I will say is the folks from North Sails were definitely very happy that we chose that option, not just because we paid for that option. It's more from a sailing point of view.
Yeah.
It's hard for them if you order like nice 3D
really
ice
nice
sails,
yeah,
and then you put standard batten.
Yeah.
It kind of like hurts them.
It
It's
hurts
like
them, yeah.
the package has to match. Battens get quite heavy, and when they're together and you load them on a boat, so obviously you're saving a lot of weight high up. And I had a concern that it might be very stiff, and as we do a jibe or tack, then suddenly like they don't flop on the other side. Never it's been an issue. It might be easier maybe for those. So far, I mean, it's an additional cost, but if you're going to go to the extra cost of getting some nice sails, I would say treat yourself to custom battens.
Yeah. Brad asked a really good question. He says, does the manufacturer of your boat take seriously and implement changes? You can't see it because the little heart's over the top. Does it take into consideration the level of experience of its customers? I think that's to paraphrase the question. Yes. And we absolutely were surprised by and loved the training. I think what outremer understands is that, to make a project successful, people need to understand how to properly sail the boat and how to sail the boat safely. And I think that is underestimated by a lot of different boat builders, perhaps. And I think it's a competitive advantage for Outremer for sure. The training courses that they provide aren't just the practical training on how to do maneuvers and how to operate the boat, but they have training for their customers, and all this is included. We took 2 days of medical training. He took diesel mechanics, electrical, plumbing, all weather, like all kinds of different things that help you understand what you're getting on the boat. With our last boat, it was sort of the standard handover, like, okay, here's the keys, here's the solar panels, here's the battery, here's where the battery is. Was that like 1 day? I think it was like 1 day or maybe a day and a half, which is just not enough time. So the fact that they can, once you get in the queue and you're waiting for your boat, they have a whole program for owners to understand more about their boat and more about the lifestyle. What I also really think is great is this Glide World tour that they do. So if you're on a program, where you want to do a circumnavigation in 3 years and you want the extra support, both from a, just fixing things and logistics and things like that, I think that's also really great. Because some people who do this they're like, okay, but we're going to do it and we're going to take the kids out of school, or we're going to do it before the kids go to school or after the kids are out of school or whatever it is for 3 years. And then there's a lot of other families involved too. So that's really great.
And just a comment about the Glide World. So it's Glide is Grand Lodge Yachting, what we were talking about earlier. So it's not only open to Outremer, it's open to basically all the boat models that, not models, but all the different boats manufacturers. So it's open to the Allure and Garcia and RM and Gunboat and Outremer and ORC. So it's not specific. So if you like the concept of doing a 3-year around the world with assistance and help, and then you can buy any of those boats and join. But just to come back to the question, because I think I understand it differently, does the manufacturer of your boat take seriously and implement changes at a simple to advanced level from on the sea experience of its customers?
Yeah.
I think what Outremer says is like the boats continue to evolve. So between boat number 1 to boat 100 for the Outremer 51, for example, they always tweak things a little bit. So I think it's part of the learning process. When there are bigger things that they will make some changes, it will be reviewed by the design office. And once they make a decision that it's a required change, then they go back to the previous boat and ensure that that modification is being done. So we very much feel like there is a loop. And there is, and what we love also about Outremer compared to buying a production boat is you're in direct communication.
Direct connection, yeah.
And so that's just totally different. I mean, the communication is open both ways, and so it's really nice. So
and we're not sponsored by Outremer or anything like that.
No.
So the finer point though is what they understand as a boat yard is they live or die by customer references, and that they like their whole value system is around listening to customer feedback. So that's a really good.
Which is quite unique in this industry.
Yeah. In your opinion, McRae asks, in your opinion, what's the major difference between the 52 and the 55? Well, this is a personal answer, so people may agree with me, but we saw the 55 and I was like, oh my God, that boat is so huge. That is such a big boat. How can 2 people possibly manage that boat? So more the 51, which is more the size of the 52, seemed just more manageable by 2 people. I was like, oh, okay, this is familiar. This is comfortable, because we were coming from a 47-foot boat, which wasn't really a 47.
46.
It was a 46. And, so to us, the space and how big it is was just, it's so much more than, 52, 55. It doesn't seem like that much difference. But I felt like that was a major difference. What would you say?
Yeah, my answer would be, so there are couples who sell obviously the 55. There are couples who sells the 5X, which is a 59-foot boat. I think it's going to be a personal preference. What do you value? Like maybe the extra speed, the extra space. the maneuvers are going to be exactly the same. So if you have your maneuvers nailed down, I mean, the 55 is set up slightly different from the 52.
I'm going to grab a light. Hang on. Go ahead.
But the principle of the maneuvers are the same. So when Ollie says, oh, it is big, those boats are big and beamier and roomier nowadays. But I would say it just remains, it's just the same step.
Yeah.
The only thing would be the more sail area you have and the faster your boats, eventually you're going to get caught in some conditions that you're not expecting. So that will be when you're happier to have maybe a smaller, more manageable boat.
I like Outremer's answer here, though. 55 is a party boat and 52 makes you feel more protected. That was her answer. I don't know. The other question is, Bob asks, curious how you were able to use the tiller when the pin failed on the wheel connection. Okay, so let's talk about that. So first of all, we have 5 different ways to steer the boat. We have the helm, we have the tiller,
or the helm, the steering wheel.
The steering wheel. Sorry, the steering wheel. We have the tiller.
That's an option for the 52.
Right. We have the emergency tiller. We have the autopilot, and we have the backup autopilot. So when the pin failed, those moments where we just didn't know what it was were kind of the most questionable things, because we weren't sure, did we lose a rudder? What's wrong with the steering? Did we lose all the steering? So you're kind of going through this motion of trying to figure out what happened. And also we had the A2 up, so we had to get that down quickly. And then we popped the tiller in and we're like, oh, it works. And it's this disconnected system, right? So
yes,
maybe you can explain.
And then so I think everybody's focusing on the piece that broke.
Yeah.
The issue is not with the pin. The pin is plenty strong. It suddenly had to work in an abnormal position. So the issue, to just describe it at a high level, is there is the arm for the rudder, and there is a ring that maintains the sector with the cables in position vertically. And in this case, there is an issue somewhere, so we can identify why everything else happened after that. But that ring basically found its way down the arm, and so now the cables and sector went down, and eventually the pin that connects the steering wheel with the rudders eventually got into an abnormal position, and eventually
it bent. Yeah, it bent.
So now, no concern about the pin. No, we don't have a spare pin because we don't expect that spare pin to.
It didn't actually break.
No, it didn't break. It bent, but we don't expect that to. It's pretty strong. The whole steering system is pretty strong. There was just that issue with that ring. So the way it's been resolved is now we have, and I'm not sure in English, but basically instead of just having conic screws directly on the arm, there is a pre-hole. So basically the screws are into the arm and can never come down. And obviously there's like Loctite, and one of the screws even is like a sort of counter screw.
Yeah.
So there is no way that ring is going to move ever again. It's like locked. That means that whole system is just not moving, and there is absolutely no concern about how beefy the whole system is.
Yeah.
It's really a much better design than anything or any boat.
Yeah, I mean, and this was one of those fluke things that happens, and it's just like I said, in that split second, trying to figure out what we had or didn't have, and then once we figured out, we're like, okay, this isn't that bad, and that we had the autopilot. But what was amazing to us is how quickly those guys responded. I mean, we contacted them immediately, and then the second we got into Lanzarote, they had people on the way to fix it, which was incredible. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So that, again, it reinforces, and I can't stress enough how important it is to have a good relationship with and hopefully a direct relationship from your builder. And not go through a broker, ideally. And
if you're in the market to buy a boat, just remember also 2 things that you easily tend to forget is nowadays there is kind of 2-year waiting basically to get like some catamaran in high demand, at least. And I know Outremer is trying to resolve that problem, but let's say 2 years. So you're at least in a relationship minimum for 2 years. When you're signing up with a proper boat manufacturer, you'll have proper warranty for another 2 years. So that means you're getting in a relationship for at a minimum for 4 years with any boat manufacturer. And it's really like, as you make your decisions, what boat you want and what characteristic of the boat, just keep that in mind, that you want to enter in a 4-year relationship, ideally in a direct relationship with a solid, with a boat manufacturer that has a solid reputation. And that's going to be there, next year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years down the road. And that's really, really essential. And think about also the resale value of those boats.
Yeah. I mean, because every boat, it's not like buying a car. It's more like building a custom home. And so every new boat is going to have some kind of problem. So what's more important is how you resolve it, how they respond, and all of that.
Hull number 4.
Hull number 4 was the answer to that question. Artificial intelligence and sailing. I want to talk about this. So we have a smart boat. Maybe that's a thing we didn't realize we had.
I'm not sure what you're going to say.
Yeah, I know. So we have this thing called SailSense. It's not exactly AI, but we have a system called SailSense that basically understands what's going on the boat. And over time, Outremer is working on making sure the system can do things like phone home if there's a problem. Phone home's not the right word, but send notifications back if there's anomalies in the system, help you understand like when you're supposed to have service done in certain parts of your boat, understand if like, is the flow right on, some different systems. So it's a really exciting time just in terms of the maintenance. So if you just think about the maintenance alone, I think that's pretty incredible.
So we have this application, so we can connect from anywhere on land, far away. We can see the position of our boat. We can see the batteries, the fuel, the water, the waste. We can see the logs. You can see where you are on where we are. Here we go.
There you go.
So, and in the future, the system, the way we'll do is like, let's say you forget to properly close let's say your kids forget to properly close the fridge door. And suddenly the fridge is starting to work for a period of time. And then the system will be smart enough to say, your fridge has been working for the past, 15, 20 minutes. Can you check the door is properly closed? And you're like, oh, thank you. Yes.
So over time, this will evolve and there'll be more opportunities to add sensors. So one of the things I talked to them about was like, some kind of security aspect of it. Like, can it sense through a mat with a sensor? For instance, someone steps on the boat when they're not supposed to, and then a huge alarm goes off or something. So the sky's the limit. I think with these systems in general, just how smart they're getting. So I'm also excited.
But you'll still need to know how to sell your boat.
Yeah.
Good day from down under. Yeah, that's early for Australia. Or New Zealand, and
let's see.
Plan to charter. Okay, good. Yeah, charter the boat. Yeah, and any Outremer. Snuffing the bigger kite might be a problem for 2 people. No.
I think they meant on the 55. I think that was in the 55 discussion.
Regardless of the boats.
Yeah.
I think, again, you need to nail down your maneuvers. You need to make sure you bear away. You need to make sure you depower your sail. But there is no reason, like a sock, really make it safe for just 2 people to handle and to just bring the sock down. So as long as you bear away, as long as you depower, let go of that sheet, well, not let go, like depower the sail gradually. And the only thing will be, and we haven't set that up, but that's part of the plan. If you have a low friction ring and you bring the line around a winch, so you can pull the sock down, and it could be that the spinnaker wants to reinflate. And in this case, you just keep it in position so you don't lose everything that you brought down. But also what I do is when I go forward, and lately I've been doing this job, I get the remote control as well. So Holly is on the sheet, easing, looking forward. she steps outside, and so we kind of work together. And if we needed to adjust the angle of the boat with the remote, I can go forward and use the autopilot to do that. But no, I think we've taken down, I think we had the A2 the other day. The wind popped up to like 20, 24 quickly. We had to take it down. Just we had 4 people on board. They said, can we help? And they said, no, it's better that we do it together quickly. And we got it down and got the sock down. And when we have time, we just properly flake the whole sock. And kind of one conclusion there was from when it's windy, we just bring it down and just clean up afterwards.
Brad says the best security on the boat is a dog. I agree. I just feel really bad for the dog because it's such a small space. But I do agree. I wish
you need like a AI dog, a fake dog.
Yeah, maybe. Can you fly 3 sails at once with your sail plan, like mainstay sail and
yes,
65?
Code game. You're you're right on. That's definitely, we've done it on just for fun. I forgot we had a stay sail, and I forgot what forward sail as we were doing some training. But it is definitely the plan to sail in some angles just for fun. I mean, maybe we'll get like half an hour or something, but it's more. Have the stay sail.
It looks awesome though. It looks
with all the green stripes.
Yeah.
And that's the first one. The second one is like get the guts to fly the drone and capture this footage.
Did you see the balloons?
Thank you for the balloons.
I love the balloons. Yeah.
So that's definitely the plan to play with that and also kind of discover like what gains do we get besides just the fun of it.
Isabel, thank you for asking a question. Is it secure to go up the mast while crossing? Oh, I think these kinds of things just add risk in general. But I mean, if we have to do it, we have to do it.
Well, you do it in crossing because, like for the Atlantic crossing, we're going to be at sea for like, let's say 14 days.
Yeah.
It's going to be good while you change the halyards, and so they don't eventually like chafe and break. So you just make some adjustments, every other day. But when it's the right conditions, the sea state, and at some point it'll be a light wind, then it's fairly safe to go. And
Jenix says send Nikki up. That's probably a good idea.
No, we were just thinking about it. Like so far, I've been the one who's been going up, and I was like, well, Holly hasn't been up, so she should be.
He likes it more than me. You like going up there and looking around.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm kind of like, okay, am I done yet?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see what else.
A crow's nest on my boat.
A crow's nest on my boat. That would be cool. That's like really piratey there. You have to. Holly, are you stoked for the 14-day passage? Nerves, excitement,
she cannot wait.
Existential dread. Rob, I'm actually really excited. I did the Key West to Bermuda with 59 North, and that was before we got our first boat. Because Stephane kept talking about passages, and to me it was a black box. I was like, I don't know what it is, and it sounds, and that's part of what inspired this All Together Voyage series, because it can be a black box if you've never done it. So I wanted to sort of take the questions I had in my mind and like, just make it available to everybody to show what it's like and what actually happens. Some parts are super boring and some parts are exciting and eventful. And I think that's the cool thing. I honestly feel like what we did from France to here, the Canary Islands, I'm knocking on wood on this one, is probably harder just because the Med is challenging this time of year and there's a lot of different kinds of conditions and things going on. So I felt like that was kind of a bigger deal. This one, hopefully it will just be a lot of downwind sailing. So that's how I feel about it. So I would say I'm excited. I always have nerves just because that's how I am. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. Let's see. Promote your podcast. Oh, thank you, Rafi. Yeah, I mentioned it before. We have a podcast called Covert Castaway. I don't know. I think we have maybe 200 episodes or something. I don't know, a lot. And we've been doing it for 5 or 6 years. And it covers all different aspects, and it goes way more in detail on some of the systems and decisions and things that we're going through. And it also covers the first couple seasons sailing in the Med. Let's see. Oog joined from North Sails. Hey, have we tried our symmetrical kite yet? No, we haven't. We're trying to figure out, maybe tomorrow, take it out and look how to set it all up. So once we do, we'll definitely let you know. And I'll let you guys know here on the call. It's bright red, so we're excited to have that up on the boat. It also, because everything on a boat has a dual purpose, it's bright red in case we ever need to give a signal in the middle of the ocean or something to a plane flying by. Cool. I don't know where Stephane went, but he'll be back. Let's see. I am so grateful that all of you guys, though, are participating in the All Together Voyage, because it makes it so much more enjoyable for us too. Doing the daily videos, as I have kind of a process now, so I'm kind of now I've got it and I can get it done. I think it takes longer to upload the videos than it does to actually edit it, and I so much appreciate everybody's patience, just being okay with our Blair Witch project. It can get kind of wonky on the editing, and there's errors, I'm sure, and mistakes, but what's more important to us is making sure you're involved and making sure that we're kind of doing it real time, because we love the comments. The comments have been great. They make us feel like we have a bigger crew, and they're also really good ideas. So we just can't thank you enough for participating in those, and definitely please join and share with other people too. Let's see, what's maybe a last question here.
See you in Miami. Yes.
Oh, someone said it's really cool that we produce and publish our videos without ads. Yes, thank you. That's not the reason we're doing it. Yeah, we're pretty happy about that. Hopefully YouTube doesn't have some algorithm that like doesn't circulate our videos because it says ad free, but I don't know. Thank you so much, everybody, for the support. Some days were later than others. Yes, the past series, it has less to do with like my routine. It has more to do with the condition of the Starlink connection. Some days it took an hour to upload, and some days it took like 5 hours to upload. So that's the reason. So if you do kind of see that's why. And if we don't upload, that's on any given day. We're going to do our best to do that. So probably check the vessel tracker and make sure our boat's still moving.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So with all of that, we're going to let everybody go. It's over an hour now. And if you have any other questions you want to send us, please reach out on sailingawen@gmail.com. You can check out our Covert Castaway podcast. What else?
The next live, because that was a test. We were like, okay,
we got it to work.
We got it to work. People care to join. People have questions. So it seems like it was a positive test.
Yeah.
So what we were thinking, if this was going well, is we plan to do another live chat right before we leave. So we'll have the full crew on board with Nikki and Segolene. And so we'll kind of...
He's outnumbered. It's like almost an all women's crew, which I think is so awesome.
Yeah, I know. And so maybe we'll talk next time more about provisioning and kind of boat preparation, and things that you might want to know about. How do you prepare more for a passage? How we binge it, maybe the routing, the weather. So we can talk about this. So the idea will be we do one right before we leave. We start our series again with daily vlog. The other thought we have is to do one right in the middle, and to do another live chat while we're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, because why not? We
want to do a halfway point celebration, so maybe we'll do one during that time, and you guys can help us celebrate the halfway
we can
point.
all celebrate together, and then definitely it'll be fun to do one once we get on the other side, and we can share a little bit more and answer questions. And I see definitely see you guys if you can come to Miami.
Please come to Miami. We would love to do that. Outremer is doing a blue water I guess seminar, and we'll definitely be at that. I don't know, maybe the O'Kellys will be at that too. I'm not sure.
So definitely, I mean, now there's many good reasons to come, so book a ticket.
Yeah.
And then we'll be there during the whole boat show. So we won't have a boat, so we'll have time to visit and meet people. So it'll be fun.
And finally, Dan says, love you guys. Cheers from Canada. We'll see you in Miami. And they're bringing us maple syrup, which we're so excited about because I make pancakes a couple times a week. So
wow, if you bring the syrup, then Holly will make
some pancakes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and then I see a little merci in French. So yeah, sorry, everything is in English, but I taught my mom how to watch the video and change the closed caption to see it in French. So at least we feel good that there is some translation for the non-English speakers or the where if your English is not, optimal.
Cool. So fair winds for now.
Bon vent. Merci.